In this video, we're going to introduce the concept of quadratic equations. So an equation where the highest exponent is 2 is called a quadratic equation. Standard form for a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So if it's in standard form, it's equal to 0. And we sort the variables from highest to lowest exponent. So you can see the first term in this standard form has an exponent of 2. The second has an exponent of 1, right? An x with no exponent has an exponent of 1. And the third term has no variable at all. A is the number in front of the x squared. B is the number in front of the plain old x. And C is the constant that does not have a variable attached at all. And we've seen equations in this format, but usually it's y equals. And when you graph a quadratic equation, you get a parabola. So, if I give you a quadratic equation, you can predict how many answers it will have. So if I give you this equation, x squared plus 4x plus 3 equals 0, you can predict how many solutions this equation will have without actually solving it. We're going to learn how to solve it eventually, but for now, we're just going to predict how many solutions it has. So, if you look on the screen, it says that equations in this format can have 0 solutions, 1 solution, or 2 solutions. That would mean that there might be more than one number you could put in for x to make this equation true. So, how do we determine how many solutions? We're going to use something called the discriminant. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. If we use this formula, we can determine how many solutions your quadratic equation will have. So in this equation, a is the number in front of x squared. That's 1, right? There's not really a number there shown, but really there's a 1 there, right? B is the number in front of x. That's 4. And c is the plain old constant at the end there. That's 3. So if I put these numbers into this formula, it'll tell us something about this equation. So I'm going to put 4 in here, and I'm going to put 1 here, and 3 here. 4 squared is 16. 4 times 1 times 3 is 12. 16 minus 12 is 4. Now 4 is not an answer to this problem. This 4 is going to tell us how many answers it has. And it doesn't have 4 answers. So if you look on the screen here, it says if your discriminant, if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, if this number is bigger than 0, then our equation has 2 solutions. This is bigger than 0. So this equation has 2 solutions. And I'll tell you right now, the solutions are -3 and -1. Those are the solutions to this equation. If this number turned out to be exactly 0, then it has 1 solution. And if this number turns out to be anything negative at all, then it has no solutions. So again, this formula does not give us the answer, and it doesn't even tell us directly how many answers the equation has. You just use the number to determine how many solutions it has. So if it's anything positive, it'll have 2 solutions. If it's anything negative, it'll have no solutions. And if it's 0, it'll have 1 solution. So let's do another example here. So we have x squared plus 16x plus 64 equals 0. So a is 1 again. b is 16, and c is 64. So let's use the equation b squared, or the expression b squared minus 4ac. If I put in b is 16, and I put in a is 1, and c is 64, 16 squared is 256. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 64 is 256. The answer to this discriminant is 0. That means that this equation only has one solution. All right, we're going to do one more example, and I'm guessing that this one's going to have 0 solutions just because I want to show you one of each. Okay, 4x squared plus 75 equals 0. A is 4. There is no plain old x here, right? So b is 0 and c is 75. So when I do b squared minus 4ac, we're going to get 0 squared minus 4 times 75. 0 squared is 0. 75 times 4 is 300, and 300 times 4 is 1200. So this is going to be negative 1200. This obviously has no solutions, right? And you can have an equation here that has no solutions. It doesn't have to always be b equals 0. And if we wait 1 second, I can pull up an example of a problem that has 0 solutions that doesn't have a 0 there. Okay, let's do one more example here. Let's see, okay. Number of solutions, there we go. Negative x squared minus 3x minus 41 equals 0. This is a good one because a is negative 1. We haven't done one with a negative a yet. A negative 1. B is negative 3. And c is negative 41. So b squared minus 4ac. Negative 3. Gotta be careful here. Negative 3 squared is positive 9, right? If it's telling me to square b, and if I square a negative 3, that's negative 3 times negative 3. That's positive 9. But in the end here, look, we have 3 negatives. Negative 4, negative 1, negative 41. This is going to be a negative answer. And it's going to be a pretty big negative number, too. 41 times 4 is 164. So it'll be negative 164. And 9 minus 164 is 155 negative. So this has no solutions. Okay, so just to recap again, if b squared minus 4ac, I'm going to write that nice and big, b squared minus 4ac. If this discriminant turns out to be positive, then your quadratic equation has 2 solutions. If it's equal to 0 exactly, then it will have 1 solution. And if it's less than 0, a negative number, then it will have no solutions. That's all. Thanks for watching.